Morning. We're having one or two technical difficulties this morning, as we sometimes do. But I have no idea why this is playing up today. But here we go. We'll have a go there. We promised that we were going to be outside today, and we were ready. But I don't think that the weather is very welcoming, and the light was just not good enough for us to pop up to the castle and have a chat about the castle and the upcoming Battle of Lewes recreation this coming weekend, the 11th and the 12th. I don't think you'll miss it. It's going to take part in throughout all along the streets and recreating bits of the battle. One of the interesting things was that a group of the King's men who had the castle in the first instance defended it very robustly for quite some time before they were driven out. That not much is made of that, because we think of them storming the Priory, de Montfort's men storming the Priory and fighting outside Lewes and cutting people's heads off in the High Street. But the old castle, it stood its test for a while. Anyway, this is Keith Hayes. This is Mirador Television, broadcasting out of Lewes on the south coast of the United Kingdom. And today we were going to take a look at, well, we are going to take a look at what we can expect from the council. And our good friends down at Lewes Eye have come up with a list. They're very good at that. I'm cutting my head off this morning, aren't I? Cutting my head off to spite my face. But if I do that, I'm not sure that it's going to stay. So I do apologise. It just doesn't want to behave this morning. Oh, why? I have no idea. Let's try that. Let's hope that solves the problem. Because we got a brand new, well, I don't know about a brand new council totally, but we've certainly got an awful lot of new intake, and the balance of power may have shifted. The Conservatives, probably bucking the trend of the country, got back with 19. They had 20 last time. The Independents, I am sorry to say, lost 1. And I'm not going to forgive the voters for that, but there we are. That's personal preference, I suppose, but you wait. You wait and see whether, in fact, party politics measures to screw things up out of control and out of any sort of efficiency over the next 4 years. And then we'll see whether we can sit down and we can debate how you should have voted this time. I'm not telling you how to vote. What I think I do know is I'm a meritocrat. I want the best. I want the best people in charge, whether we're talking about the executive, the officers, so-called, or whether we're talking about the politicians. I want the best. Those are the people I want. I want people tarred with a Conservative brush, or a Lib Dem brush, or a Green brush, or a Brown brush, or an in-between brush, for that matter. I want the best. And there are a couple of people, because they dared to run as independents, fell at the post. And I'm really, really very sorry about that, because it just shows that I've accused some voters of behaving like lemmings, and they did. Let's just follow. There's a name. Oh, recognise the party. Never mind. We get what we vote for. So the fact of the matter is that just a few of us who get a bit upset about what we voted for. So you have to listen to our voice. But I have, later today, I'm going to put up on our site a little note reminding you that there are some very, very good sources for you to take a look. And these are non-political sources. Nobody is political at all. One is your own group, local group. In the case of Lewes, it's Lewes Present, run by Mick Symes. It's a good sounding board. It also performs the village square notice board as well. I mean, it'll tell you where you can find a decent butcher, baker or candlestick maker. It will tell you whether you've lost a dog or you found a dog or whatever. But it'll also give you, from time to time, a snapshot about what's happening at the council. And the first meeting takes place this month, and I shall be there along with, I hope, some of my colleagues to see what's going on, how this new lot behave. Because if they behave like the old lot, then we're in trouble. Then there is Lewis Eye, run by, well, because I'm a long in the tooth journalist, I can recognise quality when I see it, run by somebody with investigative journalism experience, not only experience, but they're damn good at it, and they really get to the heart of matter. They really pick through the bones to try and get the facts that have dictated that particular action by the council. So that's Lewis Eye. I think it's probably lewiseye.com or .co.uk, something like that, but I just tap in Lewis Eye and I can find it very well, very easily. And then there is Town and County magazine, fairly new on the block, but even though it's a lifestyle magazine, it does reflect some of the things that either forge this community or are important to this community, and some of those things which need to be protected, and indeed some of those things which need to be criticised. That's Town and County magazine, and that'll be through your mail, your front box. I thought I'd got a copy here somewhere. Yes, let's see if we can take a look at this. Oh, there we go. Very sensitive this morning. I think I'm going to have to get a new one of these. But anyway, there we go. Town and County magazine, which is going to come through your door next week, I think, beginning on Monday. But anyway, I'm giving you a good view of the fire this morning, which we still need. And let's see if I can keep us steady. I have no idea why this is playing up this morning. It was perfectly all right yesterday, and it'll be perfectly all right the next day, I know. Because that's the way things happen. Oh dear. Well, my apologies. I think you're going to have to have a handheld this morning while I sort this problem out. So there we are, and I apologise for this. Let's put that there, and then I can wave it around a wee bit, and perhaps get a good base for it. Terribly unprofessional, but there we are. We're not professional. Well, we are professional. We're just doing it in an amateur sense. Now, I'm sorry, you just have to put up with a little bit of a wobble this morning. Anyway, we're within 5 minutes of ending the programme. And then there's so Lewis Eye, your local group. There's one for New Haven, there's two for New Haven, I think, two for Seaford, there's one for Hastings, two for Eastbourne, and so on. So tap into those, because they will give you a good view of what's going on. And then there's ourselves. We cherry pick from those sources, because we don't have the resources to go out and do investigative journalism ourselves. But having said that, we very much go to source where we can, and we've got one or two people who actually let us know what's going on covertly. They behave like spies, but they are at the coalface, and they keep us informed. So those are the four sources that you can go to for local news. Of course, we've still got the BBC, local BBC. We've got the Sussex Express. But with the best one in the world is with their cutback in finances, they can't do the job that they used to. They have a large swathe of area to cover, not just Lewis, whereas the people that I've just mentioned are basically Lewis. Now, we say that we're from Battle to Brighton. Not Brighton itself, but to the edge, Falmer. And we do try to concentrate on those areas. We try to bring you stuff that's happening in New Haven and in Seaford. And all in all, we try to do some sort of a decent job. so that you can be informed of what's going on locally. The good old trooper Nick Witchell dried up the other day and had to go back to the studio. Probably, Nick is no spring chicken. I mean, if he's worked with me, then he's no spring chicken. I suspect that even he occasionally has a slight memory loss, a short-term memory loss, and I think that's probably what happened to him. Is what the hell am I supposed to say next? And suddenly you get a blank piece of paper in front of you, and you're not quite sure what you should say. Well, it happens to us all, and it happens to those of us who no matter how experienced, know that we have got to fill in the next couple of minutes. But let me go back, because I'm all motor mouth. I may forget names, I may forget places, I may even forget from time to time who the hell I am. No, I don't have dementia, but I do have short-term memory loss from time to time. And it's a bit inconvenient, but it's not bad, and it doesn't harm me or anybody else. So that's why occasionally we have to give a moment for our mind to spring in. So poor old Nick Witchell, reporting for the BBC, suddenly found that he wasn't quite sure what he was supposed to say next, and he had to throw it back to the studio. And luckily, quite often what happens is that they throw it back to the studio and the presenter has decided to either adjust stockings or found his flies open or whatever. And then he's just in the process of mending himself, and back he comes and the camera's on him. This time he was fortunate because he was talking to the key anchor, and it all went smoothly. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit because I do feel sorry for him, and it's one of those things which is a bit difficult, and when things do go wrong, as they have for us this morning, we try hard to keep the show going. And there are two things that appear in Lewis I that I'm particularly keen on. They analyse the cabinet system, and they point out that we don't have to have it. And I've been saying to everybody, ask your candidate whether they approve of the cabinet system, because if they do, then there is a tendency for them not to bother too much about who your candidate was. He won't have much of a voice because it's 3 or 4 people that make the decisions in cabinet along with the executive, the chief executive. And look at some of the disasters that that's brought. If we're going to have democracy, let's have democracy. If we're not, let's forget the farce of local councils, and let's have a local Gauleiter or Führer, or whatever the German word was that they used during the Second World War. Forget democracy. There's no point. And the councillors who are elected fairly and in an open vote should then get together and decide that just a few people are going to run this area is iniquitous. It shouldn't happen. And we are going to try and make sure that it doesn't happen. Because when they mess up, we'll be able to name the cabinet. They're the people that messed up, not necessarily your local councillor. So whenever you come to talk to your local councillor or there's another vote, then you'll know which way to turn, which way to go. So we're going to be the I, along with Lewis I, which is a website, along with Mick Symes and his group of people who contribute to Lewis Today, Lewis Present, and those people in Seaford and Newhaven and Eastbourne and Hastings and Battle, and going north eventually to Tunbridge Wells. We're going to have a network of people keeping an eye open for what's going on there, so that we can report on that and everybody will know what's happening across the county and not just what's happening in Lewis. So bear with us. It's all coming together bit by bit. But it's amazing when you start with not a penny in your pocket and just yourself, how difficult it is sometimes to expand, because you're so busy washing up the coffee cups, you sometimes don't have time to put your mind to those things that are worthwhile. Anyway, it's 6 o'clock, and I don't want to do a Nick Witchell because we've been on for 15 minutes. Thank you for being with me this morning. I apologise for the technical cock-ups. Hopefully we'll have that resolved by tomorrow. Until then, toodle pip.